Okay, so I could not actually cover all the things related to VirtualBox and hypervisors in that lecture because it was a very short lecture. I had to rush up things, so I decided to create a small video that can help you guys understand more about the whole concept. Okay, I'm going to show it to you with the help of Oracle VirtualBox. But as I said, VMware PlayStation is another option that you can use. So let's start. So I already have VirtualBox installed. So let me first show it to you. Yeah, by the way, this is, if we go back to the presentation we had, these are the levels that I talked about. So there is hardware, and just over hardware is the host operating system. So some of you had queries about what exactly is host operating system. So whatever I'm running currently, that is the host operating system, right? So my PowerPoint, my Microsoft Office is installed over my host operating system. All these all these software tools that you can see, right? Eclipse, for example, this is all over my host operating system. So this is basically the operating system. If when you probably bought your laptop, an operating system would have been there, or you may have installed it later. So that operating system is the host operating system. Now over that, we are going to install a hypervisor. That hypervisor is your VirtualBox. Okay, as I said, there can be uh, other hypervisors as well, but I generally use VirtualBox. I already have one VM created here, but before that, let me just walk you through what this is. So again, this is Mac. It might look something different on Windows or Linux. But basically this is what it looks like. So the first step is that you go to virtualbox.com or virtualbox or whatever it is, or sorry, virtualbox.org, and go to downloads. So you see that they have VirtualBox for different hosts, right? So if you are running Windows, if your host operating system is Windows, just click here. I think most of the people who are probably going to use it they are probably Windows users. So if you can see, if I clicked here, it is going to give me an exe. So an exe is similar to how any other software tool is installed on Windows. So you can actually download this and then just run the setup. You don't have to perform anything, just have to do a default installation. Just click next, and whatever, wherever it asks you to accept a license, you have to accept it, and it will be installed. Okay, there should not be any issue with installation. There is one more thing that you should install. It is better to do that. So right after installing the VirtualBox, there is another thing known as the um, guest editions. I'm not sure where they have given the guest editions here. Yeah, so this is the one. So you have to download this as well. And whatever, after you have installed your VirtualBox, just download this and install this as well. I'm not sure what is the okay, so this is .vbox hyphen ext pack. I'm not sure what it will look like in Windows. I think by default it should open up directly in your VirtualBox. Yes, it will directly open as it says. So I already have it installed. But if you try to open this file in Windows, for example, your VirtualBox will come up. Okay, the file will open up in VirtualBox. It will ask you to install it. Just click on install, and your VirtualBox guest editions will also be installed. So these are the two things you have to start with. Just install VirtualBox and the guest editions. Now I already have a virtual machine here. So this is now what is we are going to do. So this layer is ready now. So hypervisor layer is ready now. Now I want to create two virtual machines. Okay, not two. I'm just going to create one, but basically I already have one here. So I'm just going to create one more, and this is my emulated hardware. So how does it look like? I just go here. I say, in file there are Okay, so they have changed, I think. Where is it? The new file? Machine, right? Yeah, machine. In machine, there is this add thing. Again, the menus might be slightly different in Windows, but you will find it somewhere, the add part. So you are supposed to create a new machine. So I click add, and oh, sorry. Okay, I'm not sure where have they sent the create part. Yeah, this is new. Yes, this is the thing I was looking for. So add is basically for I think it is probably for importing a virtual machine, or it might be for adding a new disk, but don't worry about it. So basically you have to do a new virtual machine wherever it is in your menu. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make another small VM. I'll just call it Ubuntu server. Why am I calling it server? I'll tell you just in a few minutes. But I name it Ubuntu server, and this is Ubuntu 60. All these things are it is not necessary that you set them, but usually it is better to pick the right type of operating system, and this is the type of operating system that you are going to install over it. Okay, not your host operating system. So for example, my host operating system is Mac OS X, but I am going to install Ubuntu over my hypervisor. So I will select this as Linux, and then in Linux, there are so many flavors. Um, it has probably detected Ubuntu just from the name of the VM, but this is what I'm going to select here: Ubuntu 64-bit. And yes, in order to check out whether your machine is 64-bit or 32-bit, I can tell you the command in the Linux framework. This is the command uname -m. If you see x86 underscore 64, it means that your system is a 64-bit system. Otherwise, you might see something else. I forgot the code for 32-bit, but basically, if you see x86 underscore 64, it is 64-bit. Otherwise, your machine itself is a 32-bit machine. So this is something that you have to figure out beforehand. While you can install VirtualBox without any problems, once you create virtual machines, at that time you have to match this. So you can only create a 64-bit machine if your own laptop is a 64-bit laptop. If you are running a slightly old laptop, there is a chance that your laptop's hardware itself is just 32-bit hardware, so in which case you cannot create a 64-bit machine, right? So here I have this 64-bit machine, so I guess I'm free to install both. I've never tried installing a 32-bit version, but in theory it should work. Okay, so the other way around it can't. On a 32-bit machines, you can't install a 64-bit guest OS. I think on it should work if I try to install a 32-bit on mine. So it can't be lesser, right? So if your machine is 64-bit, you should be able to install a 64-bit guest OS. So my machine is 64-bit. So now what I am going to do is I suggested that you guys can take any of the two options. So one option is to install Ubuntu. Ubuntu also, so there are multiple versions of Ubuntu. There is Ubuntu, the official Ubuntu version. Then there is something known as X Ubuntu, and there is something known as L Ubuntu. I use L Ubuntu because L Ubuntu comes up with a very uh, light UI. So there will be a UI, but it will be light. So the amount of resources that you will require to give to your virtual machine will be lesser. So one option is to choose Ubuntu. I'm not going to choose Ubuntu because um, my existing VM, this one is already an Ubuntu VM. I can probably just start and show it to you anyhow. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to install Ubuntu server. So what Ubuntu server is, these server versions, they don't have any UI. It's a command line only machine. So you should only install it in case you have a laptop which doesn't have enough resources at all, right? So let us say if you are running a laptop that has less than 6 GB of RAM, then don't try to run a UI based virtual machine. Try to use a version which is a server version. So in the Linux operating system, you will find this that they actually give out two different variants for the same operating system. So for example, Ubuntu, if you just say Ubuntu, it means Ubuntu desktop, which means there will be a UI. And if you say I need the Ubuntu operating system without any UI, then what the actual flavor that you get is Ubuntu server. Server doesn't mean that you are going to serve it, that you are going to use it as a server. Server basically means that there will be no UI. Okay, so it will be a command line only operating system. So I'm just going to install this one. So what I have to do is something like this. You can of course go to different places to download this. In order to this is for Ubuntu. I usually use Ubuntu, but here I'm going to install a server version. So I'm going here, and option one. Yeah, I don't want that. uh, where is the server version? There will be some download link somewhere. Option 2, mass. Option 3, manual install. So this is what I want, option 3. Okay, manual install. So what it will do is something like this. I say download Ubuntu server. This is actually version 20.0.4. I want it for 18. I'm not sure where to get it anyhow. So it's that's not important. You can actually find out what version you would like, and anyhow it is guaranteed to be supported till 2025. So I think your btech would be done. So just just download this one itself. Okay, Ubuntu server. When you download it, the actual file that will be downloaded will be a .iso file. You can go and check here. This is a .iso file. Okay, so in order to run a virtual machine, in order to install an operating system on your VirtualBox, you will need require a .iso file. So I'm just going to download it. So by the time it downloads, what I'll do is I'll just finish up creating my virtual machine. So what I now need is if I say continue, it will ask me how much RAM do you want for your VM. So if it is a server only virtual machine, it doesn't require too much of RAM. So for now, I'll just keep it probably. It's currently choosing it to be 1 GB. In my view, anything in excess of 1.5 GB should be enough. And the good thing here is this doesn't have to be in in multiples of like 1 GB, 2 GB, or something like that. You can actually give exactly something like 1.5 GB or something like that, or anything like this. So I can basically say 1.5 will be somewhere around 1600 or something. So I'll just give it 1600 MB. So this is my RAM. It'll ask you, you'll have. So what does a typical laptop has? It has, as I said, right, so it has to emulate a processor. So processor will be emulated through the processor that you already have on your laptop, that it will use. Memory, it just asked me how much of RAM it should emulate. I said for the guest hardware, just emulate a memory of only 1600 MBs. So basically, the emulated hardware will have 1.6 GBs of RAM. Similarly, it will also create a virtual hard drive on which which will be attached to my virtual machine. So essentially, you can see what is happening here, right? I'm creating virtual hardware which will be part of a new machine. That machine will not be a physical machine; it will be a virtual machine. So at this step, just say create virtual hard disk now. um, by default it will give you something like 10 GB, but it is actually better to uh, you know I think it will be probably be better to just create a slightly bigger uh, hard drive, and I'll tell you why. So just click next and you will come at these options. For now, just select the VirtualBox disk image. That will be the default. um, and this is the point that I'm saying. So dynamically allocated means even if I create the hard drive to be of, let us say, 20 GB or 30 GB, it doesn't mean that that much amount of space will go away from the host operating system. No, this is dynamically allocated. So in the beginning, if your VM only takes, let us say, 5 GBs, then on your host operating system only 5 GB will be used, and it will be dynamically added, right? So this is the best thing to do. You create a slightly bigger hard drive and make it dynamically allocated, so your space will only be consumed as and when required. So here I'll just make it probably 20 GB. I don't think you will require more than 20 GB for that. This is basically 2 TB because that this is it will give you up to a very large range, but of course you cannot give beyond whatever is the hard drive that you already have on the host VM, on the host laptop. So I just clicked create. So now this is the actual emulated hardware. Okay, so we are at this level right now. This, okay, this is the emulated hardware. There is no guest operating system over it as of now. So when I, by the way, has my machine downloaded? Yes, it has been downloaded. So now when I power it on for the first time, you will see a screen that is similar to how you will what you will see you uh, when you actually buy a new machine and there is no operating system on it. So something like this. Okay. Yeah, but the good thing with VirtualBox is that it will actually ask me straight away, do I want to install a particular operating system? If so, the will be inserted. So what happens is something like this. In typical laptops, right? Not the ones that we have these days, but maybe a little while back, we used to have these CD drives, and all you can, the one way to actually install an operating system was you actually put a new CD inside the CD drive, and then you boot your computer using the CD drive, and then from there you can install the operating system. This used to be the norm. Now the same thing has been replaced by pen drives. So if you want to install a new operating system, you basically put it in a pen drive, and with the help of that pen drive you can install the operating system. So now this is what is going to happen. So it is going to emulate a drive, okay, a kind of virtual drive where the ISO file that I just downloaded, um, where to this add. So I said that I have an ISO file. Please use that. This is the ISO file I just downloaded, and what it will do is something like this. When the machine will start, it will attach a new virtual drive, okay, similar to a disk drive, a CD drive, and it will put that ISO that I have just downloaded in that drive. So it will so for what you are just seeing is what happens when you actually buy a new laptop that does not have any operating system. You have to install it by some media. It could either be a CD drive or it could be a USB drive, a pen drive. So whatever we do at that time, that same process is being emulated here now. So I just click start. So now my virtual machine is starting, and this is basically coming from the Ubuntu part. So what is happening right now is that the Ubuntu's setup is loading up. This is Ubuntu 20. Even I am not sure what all things are there. I have never installed Ubuntu 20 before, so there will be some things that you can do. So I am just going to say use English. Um, yeah, as of now, just continue without updating. So you can also choose this. This would mean that since the last time this ISO file was created, there might have been some updates. If you want, you can also say that bring those files before the installation starts. So you can do that. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying continue. Then it says please select your keyboard layout. If you are not using a very fancy laptop, then all these things will be default. We all use the um, US keyboard layout. So you'll just say done. Now configure at least one interface this server can use to talk to other machines. So this is what will happen. Your machine, your virtual machine, can connect to the internet. What it does is it creates a kind of, again, everything is virtual, so it will actually create a virtual Ethernet port in your VM. So that is what this Ubuntu setup has detected, that there is an Ethernet cord that is attached to this virtual machine, and it has also figured out that there is some IP address to it, 10.0.2.15. Okay, so it basically says uh, should I go ahead and use this for communication? Just say yes. Now I don't have a proxy. I'm not sure many of you, so if you already have a proxy through which you access your internet, you will know what to put here. But for most people, you just do a enter, and it will go ahead. Here also basically it is saying from where should I bring some packages if I want to update them. It will basically show you the Ubuntu India server. Just click and just press enter again. Then it says configure a guided storage layout or create a custom one. So this is what you have to do. You use the entire disk. So X means selected here, and then I'm going to press the down button on my keyboard. It comes down. I press this down button again. It comes here. I press down button once more. Whenever you install your your Linux operating system, make sure that you actually use these things easily, right? So one thing that you have to understand is it should always use LVM. LVM is a very nice way in which Linux keeps your data. So make sure this particular line has an X in it. So it means that it is going to use LVM. In Ubuntu 18.04, this is not selected by default, so you must select it at the time of installation that I want to use LVM. What is LVM? Don't worry, we'll talk about it. But as of now, just make sure that LVM is selected. Whichever operating system you use, make sure that when you create, so you understand what is happening here. Basically, this is a new laptop. It has found a new hard drive, that 20 GB hard drive that we attached to it, and it is a core hard drive. It has not yet been formatted, so it is just asking you how should I format it. So I have said use the entire disk, and try and use something known as an LVM to create partitions over it. And for now, I'll just use LVM and I'll click done. um, Everything whatever it has chosen, just select it as default. You don't have to make any changes as such. So this is what you have to understand, that you will have around 18.999 GB or so, or of a logical volume. So basically this is the amount of space that your hard drive it is going to provide to your hard drive. I'm just going to do done. It says yes, and are you want to sure, continue. So I have now given it the permission to format my hard drive. Here is the place where I provide the details of the user. So I say um, Ubuntu user is the name, your server's name. You can just call it Ubuntu server, something like this. Pick a name, username. I just call it user. Okay, whatever it is. or make it, try to make it Ubuntu user. Ubuntu user. Choose some password. I'm just putting Ubuntu, and click done. Um, if you are actually installing a server version, try to use this. Okay, try to install the OpenSSH server at least. So just press enter when your cursor is at this position, and this import and all those things, just leave it alone and click done. Just leave this. You don't want any of these servers as of now. And we'll just do, okay, let me check if you require anything. See, like, okay, no, nothing. So yeah, just go to done, and now your installation has started. It will take some time for the installation to go through. By the time, what I can show you around is something like this. So this is an existing VM that I have. Let me go and show you some properties of this VM. Okay, I guess I cannot do that, is it? Uh, why can't I check the properties? Mm. Oh, sorry, settings. Yeah, so this is a new version of VirtualBox. Sometimes even I forget. This is what I was trying to tell you. So there are certain things that you can go and check here. If you go to the system part, there is a tab called for processor. Okay, and in the processor part, you can see that I have four CPUs on my particular laptop. Currently, my virtual machine is set to use only one. So my virtual hardware will emulate only one processor. I can actually go and increase this, and then there is some more settings here. How much of the CPU can my virtual machine use. I can actually restrict it to something smaller as well. Then there are some hardware acceleration related stuff. I don't think you would require it. um, and all those things I'm not sure you would require. Another thing that you need to know is this. So I can actually have up to 4 Ethernet ports in my emulated hardware, even if you don't have a single Ethernet port on your laptop. So for example, my laptop doesn't have any Ethernet port, um, but I can actually emulate an Ethernet port. By default, just keep it to NAT for now. So NAT would basically mean that your laptop will be able to access internet. If your machine has access to internet, your virtual machine will also get access to internet. So keep it as NAT. Then come to the shared folders part. So here you can actually go and say that let us say I want to add, so this means this slash host slash downloads folder is part of this. Okay, I mean my host my host VM. This is the part of my host VM, this slash host slash download. So what it will do is it will actually I can now use this particular folder as the place where if I put a file from, so this folder will now be accessible to both my guest OS as well as my host OS. So this is one way to exchange data between the two. Um, there are some more things that you can do. For example, display, storage, audio, network, shared folders. What all things that mm, any other thing that I would like to tell you? Display is fine, storage is fine, audio, network, ports. Mm, okay, so basically that will be it. I'm not sure how much has it installed till now. Um, Downloading. Okay, so I guess it may take some time because it is downloading and installing security updates. That will take some time. Security updates almost always take a lot of time. Um, Anyhow, so what happened? So I'm actually using this is a kind of trick I did not have a screen recording tool, so I just started a Google meeting, and the only person on this meeting is me. So I'll use the recording as to upload it on YouTube. Anyhow, so this VM is still downloading and installing security updates. Um, but this should go through. Once it goes through, what it will look like is, this is basically a VM that I already have. I'll just start this VM. This is not an server VM. This is actually a an L Ubuntu VM. So this is the idea. If you have enough resources, try to install a desktop version. It's not because you're going to use the desktop as such, but there are certain things that you can only do in a desktop environment. So for example, um, I can actually share the clipboard of this machine with the host machine. So I can do control C in my in my uh, in my host machine, and I can then come and do a control V in the guest machine. But that is only possible um, if you use a desktop based operating system. For the Ubuntu server VM, I will not be able to do any control C control V, so I have to type everything in that machine. So this is an advantage of using a desktop based machine. So this is a VM that is running. It is okay. It might be too much. I'm running two VMs simultaneously. It I guess that should be fine. Okay, at least it came up. So then this is something similar to what you would see once you have installed a virtual machine. Okay, this is basically a machine within your guest machine, and it is like a window. You can simply uh, you know minimize it or maximize it, and then this is your uh, guest machine. And as I said, you can do something like this here. As I showed you, this is sorry. Come on. So this host downloads, right? So this is a folder that is actually on my host machine. If I do something like this, touch, this is a test. So I'm just creating a file here, and now this is my Mac. Okay, the my base my host operating system. Here this folder is downloads, and if I do something like this, so this is a file that I just created. This is a test, right? So this file I created from this operating system, and I can access it here. And the same thing can happen the other way around as well. So this particular folder, my downloads folder, is shared with my virtual machine. So I can put stuff at one place and get it right from the other place. You could see how I did it. That anyhow are some things that you can do later. This machine is still probably taking too much time, but anyhow I don't need this machine either. I was just trying to show you what happens. So this is the overall idea. Just make sure that you download the virtual machine that is meant for your architecture. So keep this 32-bit and 64-bit in mind when you do this, right? So I downloaded an Ubuntu server ISO, which is basically the 64-bit ISO. If your laptop is older and your machine is a 32-bit machine, you must download a 32-bit version of Ubuntu. Okay, don't download a 64-bit version. And just have a look at this video. If you still have any queries, you can of course send me emails. I have been receiving emails for the past 2 days. It's just that I wanted to first show this basic process to everyone, and now if you are still facing problems, then please drop me an email and I'll try to resolve them. Okay guys, thank you.